mayonnaise, hotels, photographs, Los Angeles. We were better than everyone because we knew how the world was. We were good at recycling. We ate cereal without sugar and whole wheat bread. There were no opinions. There was what was right. The fucking creepy basement. All the fucking creepy basements. Metal trash cans full of food, the papers falling off the cans, everything on the edge of expiration. How you'd have to go down into the basement for her because the mold down there made her sick. It was muddy down there, standing water sometimes on the dirt floor. The rows of trash cans, the shelves and shelves of jars. She said a girl had been kept down there a long time ago. I said, "How do you know?" "I know," she said. "Think of me as a Vietnam vet," she said. I imagined my childhood then, outside my elementary school, the other parents, how people would have known, would have shown me what it meant, the damage given language and daylight, a national holiday, a memorial, a Purple Heart, the marks on me nameable, known. The hotel we chose online was too cheap. Near SeaWorld, yeah, but nearer to the strip club. He wanted it to be sexy, like drop our bags and tear off our clothes. I couldn't get over the idea there might be cameras. It was a fairy tale wedding, everything in soft hues of sage and sand and rose. The pastor stared at my sister's cleavage in her wedding gown. I kept falling off my heels. My flowers were the most beautiful thing I've ever held. Beauty like a magazine, I mean. Casablanca projected on the wall in the garden, a feast under Edison lights. But driving home, driving those enormous SoCal streets, I began to panic. I can't stay there, it's creepy. Something bad happened in that room. He said it was fine, like I was elitist, irrational. The fear skittered and shimmied and didn't hold still. I couldn't point and say there. We stayed in the room. What the fuck? We stayed in that fucking room. The middle of the 20th century scares me. I'm creeped out by clean lines. I don't go to Los Angeles. I don't lose control. Once, young, I put my hand out to stop a child from hitting another child, and the anger only left my hand an inch from his body. That was when I realized my own capacity to do terrible things. It sounds so cute, but I'd always been so innocent. Or if not innocent, it was other people's harm I carried. You would have liked her, my mom always said to me. She was funny and smart and artistic. You would have liked her. And what does that make me? We called her Mom's mom instead of Grandma, like the link had been severed clean and complete. She was dead. We had her lunch plates with line-drawn flowers and a few words in cursive French. I'd eat my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and quartered oranges and try to say the words in my head. French offended me then, its silent letters, unspoken rules. How did I begin to love it? Myself as myself, not who I'd been taught to be. I never met her, but I loved her baby brother, his wide Irish neck above his flannel shirts, how he wobbled on a bicycle like a picture book elephant. He always had a story, always had a quip. Couldn't turn the tap off or clean a counter, couldn't hold a job, but he was some kind of AA celebrity. When he died, I stood up for his funeral in my red high heels. All the 200 chairs were full. If it had been LA, everyone said, they'd have needed 500. Once when I visited him in the psych ward, things breaking through the structure he'd contained them in, he told me how his sister got jumped by some boys walking home from school, and she fought them off with her lunch sack. It had an apple in it, and she swung it hard. This was Tacoma, which explained a lot somehow. My mom had told me that story a dozen times. When I brought it home from him, she said she'd never heard it in her life. But I can remember driving through Sodo, overpasses and broken-windowed warehouses and the big red Rainier sign when it still meant beer, her telling me that story. Only memory, remembered, corrupts, so who the fuck knows? The present is a stone rippling the past and the future. If I go to Tacoma now, if I go sweetly, does it make Tacoma new? There were roses there, blooming in the snow. I loved that china with the wild roses, desert rose. We had a cracked, fixed plate of it when I was a kid, handed down my mother's line. One day my mother passed it down to me. Then my daughter was born, and all the fear came into me. My daughter is the oldest daughter of an oldest daughter of an oldest daughter of an oldest daughter of a daughter of a daughter, and my egg was in the mother of my mother as my daughter's children's eggs were within me. What lineage did I bring her into? My grandmother's china at every party, the desert rose played on sunny days. So I took it into the street and I broke it, dropped the big pieces again. I cleaned up every fucking shard.
Villain, baby. I'm a villain, baby. I'm a villain, baby. I drink black coffee through the night, and sometimes I'm a villain, baby. I'd smite the sun itself if it said hi. Sinistro, since I can never do anything right. Yeah, I guess you could say I'm real sly. 'Cause I'm a villain, baby. Yeah, I thought I told you I'm not very nice. I guess you could say, yeah. Now come here, young lady. Now come here, young lady. Yeah, you're the apple of my eye. I'm feeling oh so crazy. I'm feeling oh so crazy. To the goddamn cane tracks, you're gonna get tired. I'm real sly. 'Cause I'm a villain, baby. Yeah, I thought I told you I'm not very nice. Yeah, I guess you could say I'm real sly. Is that well, you got me shaking. You have to pull your panties to the side. Now quit your playing, baby. Playing, baby. That's not where I get my kicks. Nah, I'm really not that sick. And what I'm thinking of doing, what I feel like doing, what bubbles up deep inside. Yeah, it's my favorite activity, global genocide. Sex, well, that never fazed me. This is me twiddling my thumbs while I wait for eternal night. is not for the prestige of ability. And it's not for others. You used to make me but it is no longer from a sense of absurdity that we make art. Art is for the truth of a way of being. There are many kinds, the variety of color. We must remember this because it's not its fault. Art is for the things and easy to lose words like love, peace, beauty, testicles, inadequacy of longing, and for the silence in the cessation of longing.
Eyes up, Pakistan Patan. Today we have to the watering of downstream here after the Afghani OCC border area. We have to the rugged launcher varying after the people 3,500 blocked. Home.
To sharpen your eyes, you must first sharpen your hunger. Go without food, go without meaning. Let your face itch, unabated. An itchy face won't kill you, and if it does, well, tickle face sounds like an honorable death. Youth of today sold paradise for the cheap thrill of a satiated eyebrow. You might have to wait your turn. You don't want to be hijacked by inauthenticity, fleas. You'll find you walking in ever-shrinking circles, asking yourself, what can I do right now to let the world know that this life is in use, that this body is occupied, that there's a real human in down Periscope, pretending to be what you're not. Playing games with yourself. It's part of an imaginary polemic. I seem to have misplaced the push here for consequences button. Now dissolute triplets pay 50 dark web Dippin' Dots to watch me milk a glacier.
Oh yeah, it comes in handy though. But a lot of times it overreacts to shit. Like there's nothing.
I won't splinter my knuckles over the promises of a Tarrytown mage, but I'll pay 50 see-through broccoli clam bags to hear something. What keeps me going is the constant threat that other people are enjoying their lives more than I am. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
This tight spot is the spine of arrows. Marred stars. Marred stars. Hold that back flat here. Brush yourself with gentleness. The shoebox. Front 3 avenues forever. Pull the trigger. Tight spot. You'll never pull the trigger. Tight spot. Yank it forever. Chew. The forever chew. I'm gonna draw butts on your prickers. Tight spot. I bet you'd still never chew on nourishment. Tight spot. They yank it more. That much tight spot. Forever chew. That much tighter. Maybe even tighter than I am, the forever chew. Tight spot. I can be that tight. Marred stars. Marred stars. Just you wait and see how tight I can get. The only sensation you'll ever be is a tingling sensation. And a season pass to know nothing. Marred stars. Marred stars. Welcome to the question.
Odd, yes. Even, no. Page, yes. Night, no. Queen, yes. King, no. Upright, yes. Reversed, no. Will this process help me understand something about villains? Is it because whatever answers by way of this deck is connected to something out there, something I might call consciousness or creation or God? Then is it connected to something subterranean, something more akin to Alice Notley's deep self that is in conversation with poetry? Maybe this is a dumb question, but is it hard to access this subterranean self? Does it need to be drawn out? Then, is the deep self always present? So it is neither hidden nor is it easily available. It is neither here nor there, and yet it speaks in the language of dreams, in the language of poetry, in the language of music, in the language that the earth speaks, in a language that is not of language. And if we choose, we may translate this non-language into our own spoken one. I wonder if this is the hidden process by which anything gets written. I am still struggling with the villain's premise. I notice a tension in my chest. My language constricts. Part of me wonders if these moments of unlanguaged pain arise out of an acknowledgement of risk. Is this chest feeling that I associate with saying something about villains the non-language asking for translation? Then I will begin to translate. But where to begin? With a circumstance? With a feeling? Okay, the feeling of villain. What does that feel like? Is it another kind of wordless constriction, like the one I notice on Saturdays when I have to work with Elle? Elle, who is always 15 minutes late and a little stoned and wondering if anyone notices. Elle, who stands next to me while I work and tells me stories about her dog and NPR podcasts and never asks me a single question. Is this the feeling? The shutdown I experience in proximity to Elle? Is it something more like the drowning feeling of exclusion? Is it then more like the sudden flash of terror discussed on a parent encountering their child as someone strange and disagreeable? Yes, that feeling. To be something reduced. But I realize I never specified whose feeling. A parent's disgust or a child's existential shame? Should I specify which feeling is associated with villainy? Because villainy is a mutual arrangement, a simultaneous reduction of other that exists in the realm of feeling? Then I might arrive at some kind of definition of villain as co-creation of constricted energy given a face that becomes associated with bodily discomfort. Such is this infinite regression, which occurs beneath the threshold of language. I'm caught in a web, and there is no one here to turn to for help, except for you, non-language. I'm sensing something like an ending. Is this my last piece? Is this because some change is required, not because I have to leave? Good. I really felt something terrible in that possibility. But I wonder about this change, if there's something that needs to be found. I've been talking a whole lot about heart lately. Maybe that's it. For the non-language voice to continue speaking, does it need to find its heart? so it can survive without heart. But if there's no heart, will any of our words actually speak? I woke up this morning feeling badly about how I characterized Elle in that previous entry. I know they're struggling, and their struggles are my struggles, and maybe a lot of our struggles. It appears that I rendered them as two-dimensional, knowable, concrete, for the purpose of this piece. Does this reflection have something to tell me about the creation of villains in narrative? Does it have something to tell me about the creation of villains in relationship? Then the creation of villains is not so much a problem of narrative, but of relationship. Our closest relationships? Our most important relationships? Might we think of this as the making of intergenerational trauma? Would a more helpful framing be Derrida's pharmacon? So the tendency to create villains out of our most important relationships might work on us either as poison or medicine. Does it have something to do with framing, as in the Lojong slogan, in all action, trained by means of words? Is part of an alternative approach to villainy rediscovering, uncovering, learning to speak from the heart, the soft heart that exists within all of us, that is constantly getting buried, but is present with us always? This piece is not a poem, but it is like one, of a moment that is somewhere else. Returning to it now feels strange. It seems like it wants to be washed away. Should I listen to this feeling? Say goodbye to it? Is this because the yes-no form is limiting? That another form of questions is asking to be asked? Then I will sit in silence and wait. How does one train to move beyond the limitations of yes-no categories? I worry that I have it all wrong. Perhaps this discomfort is a recognition of the emptiness of the words I am using. I recognize I am still asking you questions. Continuing to seek guidance here. Is it time to abandon the deck and these questions? Then I give up the form. Put that in the river too. Say goodbye. Here. Here. Now. Now.
Hi, Wordos. April here. Big thanks to Katie for agreeing to whip up a batch of last-minute illustrations for me this week. This is Villains. So, I'm a nurse, an RN, an ICU RN. Actually, my full letters are RN, BSN, PCCN, which I feel proud of. I care for critically ill people in a smallish hospital. I give lots of medications and infusions, manage lines and tubes, monitor heart rhythms and vital signs. Basically, I work my hardest to help people survive whatever crisis brought them to the hospital. COVID, heart failure, alcohol withdrawal, COPD, sometimes all of the above, all at the same time. Sometimes the diagnosis is a simple thing, like pneumonia. But if the person is elderly and frail, their body already failing, but they came to the hospital anyway because that's what people do when sickness gets bad and they're scared, well, that's when critical care can turn into comfort care. When a patient makes this decision, the decision to welcome death after days or weeks interred in a hospital, struggling, losing, I feel part of my heart unclench. I quietly enter your room. The light is low. You are lying in bed, asleep. A woman sits in a folding chair next to your bed, dozing. She startles when I walk in. I'm April, I say. I'm the day shift nurse. I'm sorry to wake you. You must be her daughter? I ask. Your daughter nods. Her eyes are heavy. I write her name on the whiteboard under family contact person, then add my own, the doctor's name, and today's date. You are still sleeping. What does your mom prefer to be called? I ask your daughter. Would she want me to address her as Mrs. Martin or Rose? I try not to assume. You are 87 years old. You've seen things and experienced a world I know nothing about. I will not address you by your first name without permission. Just Rose, your daughter tells me, so I write it on the board, then approach the bed. Hi, Rose, I say. Can you wake up? I'm April. I'm your nurse today. You stir. For a moment, it looks like you might open your eyes, but then you grimace and shift. I make a mental note to grab some morphine when I finish my assessment. I had a different patient assignment yesterday, but I saw what went on and how it must have exhausted you. Yesterday, we were still in the full court press of ICU medicine, bringing to bear the full weight of our medical power on your waning life. You had scans and new tubes inserted, got blasted with high-flow oxygen. You suffered countless needle sticks for IVs that failed and leaked toxic medications into your papery thin skin. You vomited and cried. At some point, the decision was made. It was enough. Let me go, you told your nurse yesterday. Comfort care. I notice that you are still wearing your heart monitor. Probably the night shift nurse left it on, not wanting to wake you. I gently disconnect the wires and remove the electrode stickers from your chest. I take off your blood pressure cuff and the little red glowing sensor that encircles your earlobe for oxygen saturation readings. Are you cold, Rose? I ask, taking your hand. Oh, she's always cold, Gretchen answers for you. So I make another mental note to grab a blanket from the warmer when I come back. Then I make sure you have socks on your feet. I notice that the skin on your legs is beginning to mottle. That's one of the signs. You sigh. I moisten your mouth with a lemon swab, then check to make sure the sheet underneath you is still dry. To orient you, in case you're becoming delirious, I say, you're safe, Rose. Your family is here. Your eyes flutter open. and your gaze fixes on something above you in the distance. Your daughter quickly stands and leans closer to you. Mom, what is it, Mom? You see something. I imagine it's your grandmother or uncle, a long dead sibling, arms thrown wide, calling. Then a sweet exhalation. Personal accounts of near-death experiences in hospitals fascinate me. People sometimes describe a sensation of floating up out of their bodies and watching as nurses do CPR to save them. There won't be CPR this time. But I wonder if you're watching me now as I slide my hand down over your vacant eyes, roll you onto your side, and tuck the plastic shroud under you, your body now a husk. When I worked at St. Joseph, the rooms of the old inpatient tower had huge oval windows with panes we could unlatch and tilt outward. When a patient died, we would push open their window to let the soul escape. Here at St. Anthony, the windows don't open, and I worry about trapped souls, interned here like villains.